70 references. So I really like to take a look at other papers. So yeah.
What's your project on at the moment, Maz?
So it's about HL60 and MCF7 cells
Okay.
and their
Okay.
therapeutic effects with ginger and piperine.
Okay, that's intriguing. Very intriguing. Okay. Faria, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Varia Pandit, and I'm also an MSc student from biotechnology. I think one of the similar reasons I've just started my degree, and by the end of it, I will be writing my thesis as well. So basically, to get an idea about how a research paper works, and also to boost my academic profile, basically.
Okay. And are you interested in getting into doing like progressing into academia, or are you looking to do more in around laboratory or a mixture of both, like as you advance in your work?
I'm uh I am looking forward to doing a mixture of both, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Faria. And Hala?
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm an undergrad pharmacology student, and I think what drew me to this was that it's a good opportunity and the topics were really interesting, and also to gain experience with writing and like preparing a manuscript because it's something quite new for me.
Okay, okay. So you haven't had like experience around sort of academic writing as yet. Is
Yeah,
that correct? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
not much.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to get an idea because everyone's from different, at different parts in what they're doing, as they're in their courses. And is it Sneha Halatha? Is that have I said that correctly? Hello, are you there? Okay, we can move on to Madeline, is it? Madeline? Do you want to just
Yep.
introduce yourself? What drew you into wanted to get involved in this and what you want to get out of this?
Okay. Yep. My name is Madeline, and I literally just finished my course back in June, and I'm just waiting to graduate. And I've always wanted to do like research, so when I saw this opportunity on Aula, I just thought I'd have a try my shot into it, and thankfully got chosen. So yeah.
Okay, brilliant. What course are you doing? Sorry, what are you doing at the moment?
Biomedical sciences or applied biomedical sciences.
And what year? Sorry, again.
Final year.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And sorry, Buvana, is it? Hello. No, okay. That's okay. I'll continue now anyway. That's no problem. I'll look to get a bit more background from others a bit later. But basically, in regard to this, the topic is looking at the idiosyncrasy and in around stratified receptors, and the theme is in around this cohort. The idea is to look at a link between the top particular topics of immunology or immunobiology, but also in around an aspect of solid organ transplantation, and basically looking at sort of the main pathways, immunobiological pathways, if you will, in regard to in regard to sort of what sort of pathways and also the receptors known or referred to as chemokine receptors or cytokines that actually preclude that can help preclude what's referred to as acute allograft rejection. That so basically that prevent a solid organ transplantation. Sorry, solid organs from rejecting basically within within context of pathophysiology. So the paper is uh, the paper is basically an exposition on stratified receptors, and um, in in amongst this cohort, to also sort of initially say, there has been a manuscript that actually actually has been already composed, or that has been actually developed. It has actually been developed. So I suppose in unlike the other cohorts, where this work in this cohort, the manuscript is already sort of developed, or has been, developed from a little while ago. But in around this, it is where the manuscript still needs some work, and some updating. And so the idea around this is, as colleagues or collaborators and sort of co-developers in around this, the idea is to go over this manuscript and go over this particular manuscript and see that sort of particular comments or queries are actually addressed according to particular reviewers. So reviewers have actually, a version of this manuscript has actually been peer reviewed for a particular scientific journal. It has been actually peer reviewed, and there has been where reviewers have come back with some comments. And basically the idea around this cohort is where the this manuscript would be shared by myself or emailed to you, and with some of the reviewer comments. And basically what I thought it'd be a good idea, is that everyone has a look at the sort of comments and review the reviewer comments, and have a look at the sort of manuscript, and basically see how the manuscript could be bettered. And basically then the idea is the manuscript actually then is then sent back to the editors of the journal, and then basically it is to be hopefully reviewed again according to the reviewers. And then if for example it is if for example reviewers are happy with the manuscript, or sort of the hopefully the final version of this manuscript, then the idea is then you would all then be authors and co-authors in on this works, as those who have actually helped address or look to address the reviewer comments. It is basically work at the same time where an abstract of this work has been put forward for presentation at a seminar previously, and it was accepted as a research poster, and it had been presented at a particular seminar back in 2025. Sorry, yeah, earlier this year, but the manuscript itself has gone under sort of peer review previously, but it hasn't been formally accepted for publication by the journal. Um, uh, and so the proposition or the idea in around this cohort is that I will look to share the manuscript with the reviewer comments, and then basically the idea is, as said, is that you guys have a opportunity to have a look at this, have a look at the manuscript, and then see that it's updated accordingly. My thought is, technically, the deadline in around this, because in around the different cohorts are doing different projects, different manuscripts, as you would have all seen in the original email. The deadline that everyone else has is actually up to mid December or end of December. But in on this particular work, the deadline has actually passed, or has been imminent. So the deadline isn't as in the same case. So the deadline in around this would be something in around toward the end of August or beginning of end of August, beginning of September, technically speaking, where I would like to actually have it ready for the review, for the journal editors, so they can have a look and see that it can go forward for actually that it can actually go forward for hopefully formalized as a publication in the journal. The journal also the journals that has been selected already, where it had been peer reviewed, is the journal of the Turkish Journal of Nephrology, or TJN. It's basically abbreviated as TJN, and it basically publishes mainly in around a sort of kidney care practices, on sort of around the sort of biomedical, as well as the sort of clinical aspects of the particular, in around sort of different kidney conditions, for example. So that's basically my sort of intro into this, and sort of my sort of a reflect sort of ideas in around the idea of code developing, so that this manuscript is updated, and in at the same time, as said, the idea is that if the work is updated according to the reviews, then the idea is that everyone gets the opportunity to look at the reviews, contribute in that way, and then based on that, that everyone that does contribute, and puts forward updates in on this particular work, then actually are listed as co-authors in the final manuscript, as in the case with your fellow colleagues in who are doing other projects in the other cohorts, that they become authors and co-authors in 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 amongst the works that they are also developing or co-developing. So as you would know, in the original email, there was the topic around Huntington's disease, Crouzon syndrome, and myasthenia gravis. This is going to be a topic that's going looking at the idiosyncrasy surrounding early transplant immunobiology, and it's topicked as an exposition on stratified receptors. Again, the work has been presented as a research poster presentation, but at the same time, and I will put like a surmised version of this discussion in an email, but to you all. But also the idea is, if you wanted to, and there's no harm in doing this, that in around the abstract of the work, if it's slightly different or updated according to how you all would want to potentially update it, for example, then there's no harm in the abstract being put forward, to another particular seminar or symposium, if you wanted to get an idea of how to, if you wanted an opportunity to present work as well. That's so in amongst the other cohorts, the same has been mentioned in it as well, so that everyone hopefully can get an opportunity to present work according to the manuscripts that they're co-developing. So there's sort of sort of experience or exposure, if you haven't had that sort of exposure, exposure or sort of to presenting work, that this will also be an opportunity, that there would be an opportunity in around this, if there is intrigue into doing that, or sort of getting some experience or understanding around that as well. So those are my sort of initial thoughts, and what I wanted to say. Are there any questions? And also, additionally, if there's anything else that anyone wanted to, comment on or mention.
I just wanted to ask about the workload. So essentially
Yeah.
what you're saying is we're gonna have it's already been written out. We just have to look at the
Yes,
queries and
yes.
see what how we can address the queries, right?
Yes, yes.
Um, so would we be working in sections or would you give us like a number of queries and you like say for example, five queries per person and we just like address those, or would we be working in sections?
Okay, good question. Thank you, Mandolin. So the email that I'll send across to you all will basically be, so you'll all be in the same email to make to so that everyone's on the same page from the get-go. But in that email there will be there would be the reviewer comments. Now, what it is that the author the as said, the work had been peer reviewed within this particular journal, and it's basically there's comments have come back from two reviewers, and the idea is that I would share those two reviewer comments to you with yourselves, and basically where you've asked the question, would the work be sort of divided or for example, or sectioned out, and so my thought is that I would leave that open to you, basically how you guys how you guys on how you would like to look to address it. So I really want to, so in any work that you do in regard to developing published works or developing, even when you have your own research projects and you look to where you might want to potentially publish your own works, the idea is that that you that you get that you have you have an understanding of sort of what reviewers might potentially come back with, because in any work that goes forward for peer review, it can take anything from from 6 months to probably 8 months for work to get for any work to get peer review and published, and so therefore I wanted to give some understanding experience by also sharing like actual reviewer comments. What comments can potentially come back, in around works that gets put forward for publication. So the idea is that you all sort of have a discussion, maybe have a follow-up Zoom call or MS Teams call, for example, and decide how you would want to sort of, how you would want to like basically address comments. And it doesn't matter, for example, if there's more than one of you or a couple of you, or for example, that look at addressing one of the comments, one of the comments at any one of the same time, and then and that, so that way, you're both like more than one of you are then looking at sort of addressing the comments, a bit more, a bit, basically a bit more succinctly. So that's basically what I thought, what I've sort of contemplated, sort of, in that way. There is also scope to actually if for example some of the manuscript needs updating in different parts, then that's absolutely fine, and you can, I've said it to the other cohorts as well, that I'm open to any questions through email or any other, or a follow-up online online call, for example. That's absolutely fine. Because basically the deadline on this is technically a little bit shorter than works in the other cohorts, because the other cohorts, they're starting from scratch in basically developing or co-developing the manuscripts that they're doing. But in this one, the manuscript is technically there, but it may, as said, it might need updating in different parts, and for example, in different parts, for example, and there can be more than one of you that work on the same aspect, at any one time, if that would help you.
Okay, thank you. I've got one more question as well, though.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
um, how often would you like communication? Because I think personally, I'd prefer to have like a weekly, like, I don't know, Zoom call or email or something. Because
Yeah.
if that's okay with you, I'm not entirely sure what everyone else is
Yeah, so
thinking.
yeah, that's fine, Madeline. I think it's perfectly fine. That I've left it with like with the other cohorts. I've left it open to basically that you can communicate and organize, communicate comms with me, through email or through Zoom or MS Teams at any time. I'm kind of open on this particular project and the others, as to how communication is, because basically, in line to this, it works a bit differently to like thesis or dissertation work, for example, or project works that you're probably used to doing, because in this way, it's not in the case that although I have a supervisory, I'm in here from a supervisory capacity or effort. The idea is that we're actually co-developing and also working as collaborators, in sort of completing this particular work. So that's how it works. That's how in academia or in research works. It works is basically, although there is a lead, in on any works that's done, generally is where there is a collaborative effort. So we're working as collaborators in this. So as well to see that the sort of goals or aims and objectives are met on this particular work.
Okay, I see. Thank you so much.
No worries. Are there any other questions? Ratford, do you want to introduce yourself? I've seen that you were in the emails as well, and you came in a bit late on this call.
Yes, hello. My
Oh,
name is Dr. Rathod Dashrath. I was doing pharmacology.
okay,
I started my pharmacology master's recently uh,
okay,
here in Coventry University, my intake. So I'm passionate about writing blogs. I have a official website to write a blog, and I have pretty much experience in doing all those things. So this is new for me, peer review.
okay,
So
okay,
yeah,
okay. So, have you done much? You haven't done much academic writing yet, is that
yes,
correct?
yes, yes,
Okay, okay, but you've done some writing, and you've done in your undergrad. I'm presuming you did like a thesis or dissertation. You did some writing around that. Is that
yes,
correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. And Sneha Halatha, is that right? Are you there? No. Okay. No problem. And is it Bhavana? Are you there? No. Okay. So we got a couple of people that are on the call, but they're not responding. But that's not a problem. So if basically what I'll do, as I said, I'll send an email out in following this, and then basically there'll be a couple of points as in the email. There'll be a couple of points, and then as said to Madeline, that basically there'll be within the email with the couple of points that it will be basically where anyone and everyone can look to contact or email or follow up with a Zoom call on their own or with a few of you, for example, at your own sort of at any time that you want to. That shouldn't be a problem. And also, basically, it would be a case of where the manuscript itself that will be sent across, you'll find that the citations or the references will be in the Vancouver method, which is the preference for this particular journal, for the particular journal. So that's basically the where the citations is in numbers within the manuscript. So the numbers within the manuscript they correspond to a list in at the end of the citations or the references at the end of the manuscript. So just in case you wanted to know in regard to that, there are a couple of tables within the manuscript, and there is a figure or a schematic, and those have been adapted from actual textbooks, actual other peer-reviewed journals, and basically the one thing to say is that the editors have a preference where there should be a maximum of 50 citations or references at the end. At the moment, there's 51. They haven't said anything in regard to that per se, but just to give a heads up on that, there shouldn't be any more any further citations after 51, basically, because that's basically the for this manuscript. It was put forward originally as a, I think it was an original article or a review article, and for the author guidelines inform that the maximum citations or references can should be around 50, where the guidelines are concerned for the particular journal. So the I will also send, sorry, just to say also, I will send some points in some, sorry, I'll send another attachment. So there'll probably be two attachments in the email. The second attachment will be some additional information that will probably or hopefully help to link some of the sections or some of the parts within the manuscript. And it is a bit of a manuscript where it looks at obviously the scientific aspects around obviously because being in around immunology or immunobiology, but also in around looking at sort of aspects around cytokines or chemokines, particular receptors, and then there's also an aspect where it looks at where part of the manuscript looks to link sort of aspects in around the sciences with a way of debunking or demystifying some of those challenging or sort of hard for hard for lay people, for example, to understand by debunking or demystifying some of the disparities that exist in around this particular topic, in around the remit of the topic. So I will send some. There will be attachment that will have some information that I'm hoping that could help you guys. To also sort of potentially factor factor some of the information in. But again, it's basically with the reviewer, the reviewer comments. I'm hoping that you can actually have a look at it and see if it can be improved, or whether the manuscript can be bettered and improved according to the reviewer comments. So that's basically where I'm at with this. And as I said, I'll leave it to you if you want to follow up with a phone call. At the moment, as I said, the deadline, I would technically, it would be nice to technically have it finalized for August, the end of August, or early September, at the latest. So if I can leave it with you guys to actually have a look at that, and then as said, the idea would be that you all are authors and co-authors on a peer reviewed, and hopefully if it goes through to publication, you'll be all, authors and co-authors on this paper. That's basically the idea around this. So it works a little bit different to dissertation or thesis works, because it requires, looking at, literature and referring back to literature. And that's basically the underlying aspect around this particular cohort. Is that okay then with everyone?
Yep, I'm having.
Yep. Uh, can I say, Madeline, you can be in charge of, basically comms, any communications, that are relating that, for example, if others, are copied in with any communication in an email, that you basically lead on the communication side of things.
Sure, I can do that. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Okay, excellent. And I'll leave it like that. Anything else, then just get back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are the deadline and all
yeah.
that?
So the
We
deadline
need to
on
submit our article.
So yeah. So the initially I've put the deadline on this to towards the end of August, and like the first week of September, because the most of the work, as said, in around this has already been developed. It's a case of whether you look at the reviewer comments that I will put in an email to you, to basically see about addressing the reviewer comments. And as said, there's a couple of reviewer comments between two reviewers who have reviewed this work, the manuscript, and any one of you can work on different reviews, reviewer comments at any one time. So that's why basically the deadline is a little bit shorter on this, than perhaps anticipated, because a lot of the work is already developed in around this. Yeah. So basically, as said, if you want to follow up with a phone call, for example, that's absolutely fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll leave it like that. We don't have much time left on this call, so I'll leave it like that, and I will follow up with some information in the email. Plus, there'll be the manuscript itself, and there'll be sort of reviewer comments within the email, and then there'll be a second document or page attached, which will look at some information where you could use in a particular, hopefully in a particular section of the manuscript, which will hopefully help link things up. But the idea obviously is to see if you can also identify sort of more up-to-date literature in around this topic, which you may think or feel that might fit within, or maybe better within within this work, within this manuscript. So I'm leaving it up to you guys to kind of take a lead generally in your own ways, to better the manuscript throughout. So you all get so you get like sort of experience and sort of exposure to what a manuscript or published works actually looks like, what published, what a complete manuscript actually looks like. At least one that's gone through the peer review process. So hopefully that is something that you can all get enthusiastic about, and we can, as said, we can follow up at any time. I've left myself open to to communication on that basis. Okay then, so I'll leave it like that, and anything else we'll follow up. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time,
Okay,
everyone. Thank
bye
you.
bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.